First Watch on KWCD Country. It's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Sheriff Daniels, and we're the empty chair over here.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, we're missing somebody in action here. It's Carol Kappas.
Yeah.
She's running late today, so she's out there. She's probably driving right now going, I'm coming, guys, I'm coming. You know?
Stop talking about me.
Yes, I'll be there in a minute, But, yeah, so Carol's a little late today, and so we always miss her because she adds that flavor to you and I.
She does. She really does. So we're looking forward to her. She'll be popping in here any minute. But let's start with something really fun. Cochise County football is returning to KWCD, and you call the games every year. This year's going to be a little different, but also the same.
It is. And just for Cochise County football started with Steve Kurtz and Kevin Caroline. I'd be remiss. I was talking to Steve's daughter, Brenda, yesterday over at the college, and we always try to get Brenda and Wendy, their daughters, to come out the first game, and we'll try to get them out there. And it's emotional to them because that's their dads. They called radio for like 4 decades. I mean, calling radios for high school football, Buena being the foundation to that. So we're kicking that off again. Steve and Kevin both brought me in toward the latter part of the years. I did several years, I think 5 years maybe or something, with them. And then Steve passed away, and Kevin had already passed away. So it's a tradition we want to make sure we carry forward with Town Square Media, Cherry Creek at the time, but now Town Square. So August 29th is our first game, and we're doing, just so everybody knows, we're doing all Buena home games because they have that press box, the Steve Kurtz press box. So we'll have all the home games for Buena. Just if you're listening, it's 92.3 KWCD. And then we're doing a traveling game with Buena, going to Catalina Foothills with them. And then we're going to do 2 ALA games. They new high school over there, the American Leadership Academy, and then we're doing Bisbee, Wilcox, Benson, and Tombstone. So we're hitting them all. We try to hit them as much as we can. So we're doing 11 games total. So I want to thank all the sponsors that pushed that through. Again, Town Square Media, and of course Chris and Val. Chris is going to be calling the games with me this year. Chris is a new host, DJ, what y'all call him here, Grady.
He's a morning show host, yep.
Morning show host. So if you hear Chris, he'll be on the radio with me, and then, of course, Val here on the studio keeping the power on for us. So we're excited about that. So our first game, August 29th of this year.
Want to remind everybody to get out and vote.
Yes, Tuesday's it. I mean, and such a politicized vote right this year. I mean, with the president with President Biden stepping down, and got that going on the presidential side. You got the local race, very competitive, especially the Board of Supervisors. And again, get out and vote. If you have questions, get to know the candidates. Ask people in the county government. I've had numerous calls saying, Sheriff, I want to talk to you. I said, well, you can talk to me as Mark, and not the sheriff. But long story short is asking, because we have to have government that works together. And I'll just say that if we're not working together as local government, it sounds going to sound horrible. We're no different in Washington D.C. We have to have people that see the community over their own personal ideologies in a lot of ways. Not saying our values aren't on the plate; they always are. But we have to be able to work the community, grow the community. And if every community in this country did that, we'd make a big difference in this country.
And we also want to start the show with some sad news from the Patagonia Lake area.
Yes, our team yesterday, our search and rescue team, went to Patagonia Lake yesterday. They had a 20-year-old male that tried to swim across the lake. He obviously disappeared about 7 o'clock that evening. And so the next morning, our search and rescue team, dive team, went over there with our dive. We have a rescue dive boat that was donated to us through a grant. They went over there. They dived after about 2 hours. They found him, and he was a 20-year-old male from Pima County, but sad, he's part of our law enforcement family. He was part of the Pima County Sheriff's Office detention team. He was an officer for them. So God bless him, and God bless the Pima County Sheriff's Office. It's never easy when they lose one of their own.
And last week you went to a back-to-school fair.
I did, at the mall. So the Dillards did their annual youth fashion school event, and then it's become a tradition now. So Ken Foster, one of my lieutenants, and I went over there, and we saw Jackie Clay in the crowd. I said, Jackie, get up here. You're the educator. And so Jackie, Ken, and I actually gave a safety message during halfway through, like intermission during the show, and it was well received. I want to thank all the parents for being there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do on Saturday, but they came there, they listened, they had their kiddos in there, and they watched these little kids, 4 or 5 year olds, displaying all the cool clothes and stuff. But it was neat, all the way up to teenagers. So it was neat.
And there was a NAMI event last Saturday as well.
Yeah, NAMI is National Alliance of Mental Illness. I've been a huge supporter of them my entire time. They had their annual meeting last Saturday at the Rothery Center. Went over there, and great event. Just talked to so many people, and people trying to make a difference in helping those in need. Had the opportunity to speak. Had the opportunity to have our care team on display over there, and Christine Reinhardt is one of our care members. She actually spoke as she was on a panel. So just a really good event. And thank you, NAMI, for what you do. And I got to give a success story. We had a situation where I had a wife call me, say, "Hey, I got problems with my husband, and he had some dementia, some mental disorder coming on. Something wasn't right." And I've known him for a long time too. And I've seen it over the last about a year and a half. So I went over that night. She called me as late evening. I went over there, and he wasn't right. And sadly, he was drinking alcohol too, which compounds the problem. So, but I used my influence with him. We got him some help, and he called me 2 days ago and said, and I got the call from him thinking, here we go, he's going to be mad. And but he called me and said, "I just want to say thank you." I said, "It's nice to hear that. How are you doing?" He's like, "If it wasn't for you, they're doing all this testing with me. We got some issues. I got some issues, and but we're diagnosing it. Most important, but I feel so much better, so much better." So, and the reason I say that, I share that, yeah, I went out there and I used some influence on it. But the reality is, our care team walked him through that process. Walked him through. Our deputy, we all took care of him that night, got him to the hospital. But they with him pretty much the whole process, and he's got a smile back on his face, and so does his wife, most important.
And mental health is very important to the sheriff's office. In fact, you went through a course called Struggle Well. Tell us about that.
It's Boulder Crest. Boulder Crest is a center that deals with people thriving in the aftermath of trauma. And it's mental trauma from the exposure, whether it's military, public safety. There's a center in Sonoyta that we donated through the charity ride. We donate quite a bit of money to them, but they're all over the country, and they've been partnered with the sheriff's office and many other law enforcement to come in and start. It's just a new look at how we do business to our traumatic exposures. And so they come in, they're working within our academy through our care team. Also, we've asked them to set up so anybody in the sheriff's office will go through a course. Halfway through their career, they'll be rechecked upon, if not sooner. And then at the end, before they retire, people think once you retire, everything's happy, you go away, everything's good. Well, it's not. But what I thought was really neat about it was he talked about, we all know about post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. But they actually are working on post-traumatic growth. How do you grow from that? And it was amazing, some of the stuff I learned. So, yeah, I spent a couple days this week with, it's called Struggle Well, and listening to people, looking at the experts talk, and just amazing. But it's the reason we did that, the sheriff, myself, and our executive team, was we want to set the example for all our team members that it's important to us that we sat through it also, and that we care about their mental health and their future. If we're not taking care of them, they'll leave us, and then our retention goes down, or goes up, excuse me.
Well, we're going to talk about border stats here in a second, but let's kick that off with a pursuit that happened last night.
Yeah, we had a vehicle stop. Our interdiction team, smuggling interdiction team, was out last night. And I saw them when I was coming back from Bisbee around 5:30 last night, and they're all over the place and chasing cars, doing what they do. And they do it very well, very safe. But they had a situation where they stopped a car last night, about an hour after I got off. And the guy was out of Florida plated vehicle. The guy wouldn't acknowledge himself, wouldn't roll the window down, just really defiant. What we do now is we actually take when we get somebody like that, or we got a smuggling vehicle or a vehicle that as high risk, they actually put the spikes in front of the tires right away. So if it takes off, there goes the tires. It saves us a lot of effort, keeps the risk reduced for our law enforcement. The vehicle, knowing that, actually took off. Sadly, he ran over one of my deputy's legs, and he wasn't seriously injured or anything. We're very fortunate on that. We chased him along with DPS, Tombstone Marshal's office. A bunch of us were involved in this, which is a collective effort. It's just not about the sheriff's office. It's a collective team effort. That's what I saw last night. And coming home, vehicle went all over the place. Let's just put it that way. They grappled it, which is the grapplers. We have them on our patrol cars now, too. We're just finalizing that program with us. We got all the training done, but they grappled it. DPS actually grappled it, and the vehicle flipped one time, and we got the guy into custody. And we still wouldn't identify himself. So as of late last night, I still don't know who it was. But either way, it's the challenges they're dealing with, and I'm going to say it. The national news and DHS continues to put out, things are better. They're better when it comes to give-ups. When people run up to law enforcement, I won't argue that. Their numbers is magical math, I call it, because talking to my people from DHS and talking to what they put out is never the same. The 40%, if you remember, several weeks ago, I don't know where they got that number. Nobody else could give me that number again, especially the ones that work with us close, the ones that we know well. Let's put it that way. So, but we're dealing with gotaways. Gotaways are a totally different situation. The gotaways are the crime that keeps giving because they're exploiting humans, and sad to say. But to give you an example, in 30 months, just a little over 30 months, we booked 3,660 people in our jail for border-related crimes. That's over 100 people a month, just to put it in perspective. The new law that went into effect September 28th of 2022, we booked, that's the smuggling driver. If we catch you in your smuggling, 727 smuggler drivers were booked in our jail and charged for a felony. 509 pursuits, failure to yields, and 124 juveniles. And this goes, that's since 2022, those stats, a little over 30 months. Now, there is a little bit of cost. We didn't have the stats for 21, but we do have some number stats. But since late 2021, it's cost us $12.5 million for border-related crimes just in Cochise County. In 2024, people are asking, we booked 776 people for border-related crimes in Cochise County. Last year, we had 1,530. So we're already halfway there. So when they're saying the crimes are going down, we're on pace just to match, if not beat, last year's numbers. Again, it's cost $2.2 million already this year in the first 7 months when it comes to border-related crimes. So have we seen a reduction? In some areas we have, but majority of threats, vulnerabilities, and risk are still on the table. And so, but as long as Washington, D.C. is doing a celebration dance, that's scary. That's truly scary for us because that means they think the problem's fixed. The problem's not fixed until we have a secure border.
And also, even typically through the year, right now is a slow time anyway because it gets so hot that the crossings kind of slow down a bit because you could die in the desert. You
could. And then exposures, in fact, we had 2 last week. Or our search and rescue and recovery now. Actually went out there and recovered 2 last week. And people think, oh, okay, 2 died. Those are horrific deaths on humans. I mean, there's nothing good about that, nothing positive about that. And let's put the emotional impact on that. Of course, I just talked about Struggle Well. Talks about this. I mean, so we're sending people out to recover bodies. I just saw the Consulate sent us a thing last week. Carol's in. By the way, Carol, good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Yeah, she snuck in the back door. Did you hear us talking about you on the way over?
I did. No, I didn't. I missed that part.
Yeah, we said you were missing in action. And but the emotional toll it takes on our rescue recovery teams that have to put them in body bags and then process them. We had the Consulate send out on a female last week that they're looking for help, which sadly she's probably somewhere in our county and deceased.
Right, and so when we got the statistics from the Pima County Medical Examiner, because they're the ones that actually do our autopsies, we don't have an ME in Cochise County, they send out statistics. I've asked for them quarterly, and even you said 2 last week, but I didn't realize that we had even more than that this year. So I think that we're up to 5 this year, and when we are talking about 2022, we had 21 people, and so we. At 2023, we had 18, but it's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And, people have to understand that this is just an issue, another challenge that's being faced in addition to the pursuits that we're having and then the search and rescue having to go out and do these body recoveries.
Well, and you look at something else, and we're not even talking about this. When the cartels bring them across and they're paying big fees, they're serving, it's modern-day slavery, and they become ill, maybe spraining an ankle, they can't keep up with the group. They leave them behind. There's no second thoughts about, hey, let's help them. No, they leave them behind. And then that's when the exposure, the heat, the cold weather, whatever it may be, the weather, nature takes its course. And that's horrific. It truly is to treat a human like that. So again, it's just not a good thing. But we haven't even talked about the fentanyl either. The fentanyl continues to be a challenge. Meth is on the rise. I just sat through a meeting last week. But I was really surprised to hear this one. The state of Arizona, which leads the nation in fentanyl, I might have said this last week, but I think it's important to say it twice, is the fact that we have reduced our DEA agents, the drug enforcement agents, in Arizona, the state that leads the nation when it comes to fentanyl. We're the welcoming mat, if you call it, and it's a horrible way to put it, but a welcoming mat for fentanyl in this country and many other illicit drugs. But we reduce our DEA agents in this state. Does that make any sense? What that tells me, once again, Washington, D.C. and the fail to prioritize what's most important. It's amazing to me. We should be sealing this border. And I get so frustrated with that because what do they rely on? Carol, you, Grady, I, and all our team members to do it. And then when it doesn't work, guess who gets blamed? So it's just frustrating. I'll just say that.
And fentanyl is another issue, and it has many forms. The newest ideation of it is carfentanil. We fortunately have not seen that in Cochise County yet, but it's 100 times more potent. And an officer in Indiana was doing a car search, and he actually just came into contact with it, and he almost died. I think he's still in critical care. So it's those types of things that are coming through. And again, we haven't seen that particular one, and it's used typically for elephants. It's an elephant tranquilizer, big game, large things, and people are ingesting that. People are, formulating that, and they're selling it. So that's one of the things that we also have to be very cognizant of for public safety and officer safety.
I agree 100%. And it's just whatever the cartel can make a dollar bill on the back, the humans are just set aside in this whole equation. I mean, everybody thinks, well, but it's just sad. Now, there's news came out last night. I got hit on a couple of different ways where a couple of the Sinaloa cartel leaders surrendered to the federal government. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they surrendered. One was Chapo Guzman's relative, but they were leading the cartels. They surrendered in Texas. I don't know all the details. I know the U.S. Attorney came out, Garland came out with a statement last night that they took them into custody. Well, we know as well, cartel leaders don't surrender. So there must have been some back scene work on that, and for a reason, it's great that we got them in custody, and I'll say that. I just don't know all the stories. So I've been got hit on this morning again. I don't know how they got them into custody, but either way, where they come into custody, we all know there'll be a replacement. And that's priority working today. So it's very sad. But I want to talk about the shooting. It's been all the news, the national shooting we just talked about this week, from that small town where the officer shot the female that called. What a sad situation.
It is.
What a sad situation. And we were talking about yesterday in the Struggle Well class that we're in, I was talking about. But that goes back to cultural mindset. I think he'd been through 5 different agencies in 2 years. And again, I don't want, if I may speak, I'm sorry. But 5 different agencies in 2 years. But the arrogance, just the arrogance and the lack of professional application here. And people criticize, we get very few, but we get people that criticize us. I'm like, and we make mistakes, I'll be the first to admit that. But the arrogance, even after he shot her, is incredible to me. And that's why it's so important that transparency, the quality of people we hire to include the training within and cultural disciplines. If you don't have them, guess what you get? You get bad situations like this, and we all carry that. We all get tarnished that wear a badge, and that's the problem I have with it. So, sad situation. I feel bad for that family, but I'm just going to say this, and I'll say it out front. Maybe I should, but I'm going to. Is that's an agency of 5. You got an officer acting to that abrasion. It sounds like he had quite a background, but more important is, where's the police chief on that? When he hired him, he hired his vicarious too, which means his liability and his baggage. So, yeah, that's just a sad situation, but he gives us all a black eye on that one.
Well, let's talk about the bee attack that happened in Cochise County.
Yeah, I had a deputy, 2 deputies actually, that went to a call of a check welfare. And I found more about it. I did an interview with Channel 4 yesterday, but I found more about it afterwards. The victim was citizen was stung 1,000 times. Can you imagine being stung 1,000 times? I was talking to a deputy yesterday on this. So our deputies get there on a check welfare. They're walking up in this field, and they see him in the fetal position. and they see like a black net over them. He thought they were flies. He thought he had been deceased and the flies were on him. I know it sounds horrible, but that's what he saw, because welcome to our world. As he got closer and close enough, he realized they weren't flies, they were bees, and they were attacking him. Once they saw him, they went after our deputy. Our deputy took off, grabbed him, did not leave him behind. And I was asked yesterday by the reporter, well, why didn't you take off? Because we're there to rescue. We don't get the chance, and our job doesn't allow us just to retreat. In most cases, we're going to do what we have to do. And he grabbed the citizen, got him out of there, got into the second deputy, pulls up, got him into the car, and the bees were in the car also with them. I mean, just a sad, and these bees are just amazingly aggressive. I mean, you think of bees as honey and, you know, the animated commercials we see on them, and who would have thought bees would be our enemies in most cases? We know bees attack. Don't get me wrong when I say I'm not ignorant to that. But what I am saying is these were vicious, just vicious, the way they came at this gentleman, and then after my deputies and stuff. My deputy got stung about 100 times. Went to the hospital, but he's doing well. I talked to him yesterday, and he said his head's swollen. And I'm not laughing at him because we laughed together yesterday, and he says a little painful, but he's doing fine. So he'll be back to work soon.
And yeah, they said that a whole bunch of people, excuse me, were trying to figure out how to get away from those. There was a dog even involved in that, and fortunately, the dog, the information we have, one dog was safe. The second one, I heard at least one died, right,
and possibly two. And again, it was sketchy on some of the information because it was such a horrific scene. Let's just be real. I mean, you pulled up and you think you. And the neighbor had called in because he was running around with his hands flying around. That's why she called.
Mm-hmm.
To check welfare. Like something's really wrong with this guy. And he was fighting off bees. So, yeah, there's no winners here.
Well, let's talk about an event that's happening today with the Buffalo Soldiers.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. There's a remembrance and honorary ceremony for our Buffalo Soldiers, which have deep history here in Cochise County. All the way back to the Apache Point Ranch, all the way up to Fort Huachuca. I mean, that's who we are here. I know they got other touches around the country with military bases, but we consider them ours. Let's just put it that way. And so we consider them the home of the Buffalo Soldiers. So at 11 o'clock today, they're going to be honoring the Buffalo Soldiers. So I was honored to be invited, so I'm going to be up there to support our Buffalo Soldiers and the history within that makes up what Cochise County is all about.
And then tonight is National Night Out in Huachuca City.
National Night Out. Yeah, a lot of national nights are coming up. But tonight at 6 o'clock, right behind the police department, is National Night Out. And that's where law enforcement, public safety all comes together to embrace the community as the community embraces us. So that's going to be exciting. You're bringing out the Challenger.
Yep, I'll be out there.
Which is always a hit. It
kids love it too.
Especially with the cat, the howl. You know, it howls actually like a cat. You know, and some other stuff we'll have out there. But yeah, I'm going to come out there about 6 o'clock tonight and just hang out with the citizens. That's what it's all about.
And I was delinquent in getting here in time in a timely fashion.
We called you out.
Thanks. So, but you probably talked about back to school stuff. It's time for back to school. But today is Bisbee's back to school fair, and next week is Douglas back to school fair. So they have a lot of organizations that are working hard to provide school supplies to kids in need. So they have backpacks, pens, pencils, notebooks, rulers, erasers. I don't think anybody's giving out laptops at this point, but that's
give it 10 years.
I know.
That'll be.
Give it a year, I tell you.
Give it a year, yeah, no kidding.
So it's back to school time. So everybody just be aware that they're back to school fairs. Take a look and see what's going on.
Yep, and like we were just talking before you got here, Carol, we did the one at the mall last. They did the fashion show back to school at the mall last Saturday, and Dillard's put it on, and then Ken Foster, Jackie Clay, and I spoke at that one during the intermission and give safety messages and, don't talk to strangers, go right in the right path, all the things you got to do to keep your kiddos safe. And one of the big things we hit on, too, was take a photo of your child. Take a recent photo of your child. So if something does happen, we're way above it. You're not scrambling to find that recent photo. Get a photo of your child. But also, we hit real hard on is cell phones. That's the gateway to your child. That's a global gateway into your child. Know what's on that phone. Know what your child's doing.
And speaking of phones, that's where your stop of the week comes in.
It does. I stop, I don't know how many cars a week because people are driving down the road. And what always gets my attention, Grady, is their driving's not normal. I mean, they're stalled at a light, or they're weaving within the lane, or drifting within the lane, or they're driving under the speed limit. But then when you start looking into it more, you look at, and there's a cell phone in their face. That is the primary focus of the world right there. It's not driving a car, not a $4,000 or $5,000 car. It's that cell phone. And I continue to stop them. And I'm telling them, put the phone down. Because once you rear somebody, you hit a kid, as we go back to school, you hit a kid, your life will change forever. Put the phone down. Get a Bluetooth. It's not difficult anymore, especially in cars nowadays. And people say all the time, well, law enforcement, we're exempt, but I tell you right now, we've put the message very clear that unless you have to use it during like you're using that to respond to a call. A lot of times we dispatch through our phones based on some of our tactics. But we put the phone down, we go into a Bluetooth mode, or we pull off the road. If you see me pulled off the road, it means I'm on my cell phone in most cases, because I don't want to be in the same boat that I'm preaching. You know, it's when I hit somebody. So put the phone down, be safe, and keep our kiddos safe too.
And actually, you can't manipulate the phone in any way, which includes holding it with your shoulder to your ear. You can't have it in your hand at all.
Not at all. I mean, wireless means touchless. You can't be touching your phone. Bottom line.
And so that's one of the things that you absolutely correct. I almost got hit head on a couple weeks ago by somebody, and then when they looked up, and you know, we both, I don't know whose eyes were bigger, but they were fortunately able to get back into their own lane. And it's absolutely critical, because I don't know, they weren't talking on the phone. I think that they were, checking their Facebook account. So that's what you have to be careful.
Well, you bet. And you think about, and we all get this. We all get in a hurry. We all get, I got to answer the phone. Bottom line, or read that text, and even the new cars, and I'm going to say everybody's got a new car out there, but even new cars, you just hit a button, it'll tell you what the message is, such and such tells you. I mean, it's just amazing what we have for technology, but all I'm asking is put the phone down, pull off the road, take that minute, slow down, especially with the kiddos walking to school. Kiddos aren't looking for you. We need to look for them.
And that wraps into the safety message of the week, which is school buses are out.
School buses are out. We hit it last week. We're going to hit it again because we see the priority with it. Those big yellow vans, big yellow buses are out there, and some are more white even. But once you see that yellow light coming on, once you see a school bus, you should guard up right away, because school buses and kids. But once you see it slowing down, especially on 92 South, there's a big area down there where you got the 4 lanes. Those buses are picking up along the highway there, and they turn their ambers on first to warn people, and then the reds and stop sign comes out. If you go through that stop sign, even on a 4-lane undivided, which means it's all one piece of pavement, there's nothing separates the lanes, that is against the law, and you will get a ticket. That's an easy ticket. There is no discretion on that one. You're going to get a ticket on that one. So please, it's all about safety. It's all about kiddos, and so please look for the buses out there, and let's keep another safe school year.
Well, Sheriff Mark Daniels, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Grady, Carol, have a great week. Everybody, have a great week. Be safe.
Carol, who do we have coming in next?
Kate Reynolds from Mothers Against Drunk Drivers.
First Watch on KWCD Country. It's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and we have Miss Kate Reynolds. Thank you so much for being here today for Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And it's something that Cochise County hasn't maybe been involved in as much as we need to be for the past several years. So tell us who you are.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Kate Reynolds, and I work in Tucson with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. My background is actually in housing. I worked with veterans for a little while, a rapid rehousing program, and then I worked for the City of Tucson Housing Choice Voucher Program, but then I moved to MAD because I wanted to play more of a role in the community, and I wanted to be more active in the community.
So what does MAD do for the community?
So MAD does so many things. Our 2 main areas are prevention and supportive services. So for prevention, we have our program specialist, and what they do is they go into schools, they talk to parents about the dangers of underage drinking. So we actually have our Power of Me program, which is for elementary school children. And that focuses on how to tell someone if they feel unsafe with a parent or guardian if they think they're impaired. And then our Power of Youth is for middle school and high school, and that tells them the dangers of underage drinking, the effects it has on the mind, the body, and the community. And then our supportive services, which is what I do as a victim service specialist, is we help victims and survivors with the court system. We help them get connected to resources. We try and provide emotional support. We're not therapists, but we try to provide emotional support. And we also try to take things off their plate. We try to connect them with other things in the community, agencies in the community that could help them better than we can in terms of, providing civil justice, or maybe they just need help with housing or bills. We try and do that.
So that's it's I guess a one-stop shop. And you first initially contact these people through law enforcement, or what do you do for law enforcement? How do we connect?
So how you connect with us is you can refer anyone to, if you're talking about victims and survivors, you can refer them to us, and they will call our helpline, which is 24/7. It's answered by a real person, and what they do is they will connect them, a victim and survivor, with us in Arizona or wherever they're at in whatever state, because we're everywhere. Matt is everywhere. But then if law enforcement is trying to get more involved with us in terms of partnering, collaborating, you could always reach out to me, our state office, and we would love to do that. We are trying to get back into the community more, especially in areas that have been underserved. So, Cochise County, Graham County, and things like that.
So at the end of this, we're going to throw out a lot of contact information, so everybody grab your pen and paper and be ready for that. But first, let's talk about maybe some of the events that you've got coming up for MAD.
Yeah, so fall is our busiest time, as I'm sure it is everywhere because it's cooler. But we have our law enforcement recognition dinner banquet. Say that 10 times fast. That is going to be on August 16th in Tucson, Arizona at Casino del Sol. And that's where we honor law enforcement and supportive service staff for furthering our mission of no more victims. And we would love to see you and your families there. It really is a time to come together and meet your fellow law enforcement agency, in a different county, and just make those connections. And then we are also participating in El Tour de Tucson. If you like to ride bikes or you just want to support MAD, you could sign up on their website, and you just pick nonprofit and MAD, M-A-D-D. And then we're also introducing Ride Like MAD, which is something where it's going to help you prepare for El Tour de Tucson for sure. And it's basically a virtual fundraising event. And you can just ride your cycle at home or bike around the community, and you just track those miles, and you'll be raising funds for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And then in December, one more event, we have our Candlelight Vigil. And that is for all of our community members and families to come together and just honor those who have passed or have been impacted by drunk and impaired driving.
So attending these events is a good way to help out MAD, but what other ways can the community help MAD?
Yeah, so there's always donate. We're a nonprofit, so we're always needing funds. But you could also volunteer, be a part of our mission, and you could also spread the word about, underage drinking. Don't drink and drive while impaired, because that goes a long way, because I would love to be out of the job, and our mission is no more victims. So we would really like for everyone to try and further our mission, and even if that's just saying, hey, I think you shouldn't be driving, or even reporting someone to the police, please do that, because you will be saving a life for sure.
And is it connected to Students Against Drunk Driving? Is your organization the same? Is it two separate things, or is Students Against Drunk Driving not in existence anymore? Because a long time ago, it used to be the kids in the high school would try to further the mission of Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah, so our programs definitely they work with the children. That's all on our prevention side. And we do try and get the youth involved because it really does, it starts with them. The youth are a powerful demographic. They just don't know it yet. And so we definitely try to get them involved and have them share the information that they learned, like when they go to college, and just have it in the back of their minds that, hey, if I do this, I could kill someone, kill myself, injure someone, injure myself. And these tragedies are 100% preventable 100% of the time. And there really is no excuse now with Uber and Lyft and things like that.
Well, you've given us a lot of great information. You've given us a lot of events that are coming up and ways that we can get in contact with you if we need help or if you want to report something. How can we get a hold of you and MAD?
So if you want to get a hold of me, I will give you my email. So get ready if you got a pen and paper. So it's just Kate, Kate, .Reynolds, REYNOLDS, @MADD, MADD.org. And you could just send me an email and I'll be more than happy to connect with you. And then you could also call our state office, which is in Phoenix, or you could call our Tucson office, and it will go to voicemail, but then it will be passed to one of us, and then we will reach out.
Well, we thank you for coming and talking to us today, and we thank you for everything you do for our community and that Matt does for our community.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Giving you an inside look to your sheriff's office. Let's go back to First Watch on KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and our next guest.
Welcome back, Cochise County, and Tracy from Juan's Barbershop. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me today.
So tell us what we're going to talk about.
All right, so today we're talking about our back to school bash. We know that it's a hard time for a lot of people, so this is our 5th year getting those kids their haircuts and getting them just ready to go back to school.
And so there's no charge for this?
No charge at all. We just want to give back our talent and just like bless the community.
But they do need an appointment.
Yes, appointments are great. And unfortunately, appointments are all taken up. So we do take walk-ins, but to be fair to our volunteers, since our event ends at 6, the last walk-in will be checked in at 4 o'clock.
All right, so let's talk. You have 3 events that are happening today. Tell us about that.
Yes, we do. We have our first event today, which is going to be at the Masonic Lodge in Huachuca City, which I will be heading to there as soon as I leave here. We have our big event at the Salvation Army on Sunday. And then we have our last event of the year, hopefully at Tombstone at the Walter J. Myers School.
All right, and what time is that one going to be in Tombstone?
The one in Tombstone is going to be from 3 to 5.
Okay, so walk-ins today. Let's make sure we reiterate that. What time does that need to be today? So your walk-ins have to be by 4?
Well, today our event is from 10 to 3.
Okay,
so our event for Sunday, the last walk-in, will
go.
be checked in at 4. And with the allotted time that we have, with our appointments back to back to back to back, we do have specific haircuts that the youth can choose from.
And this is really cool. It's something you've given back to the community. You guys did this before. You're doing it again this year. Why is this so important to you?
Well, like I said, this is our 5th year. It's just, when you have a talent, you should share it because it's given to you by God and it can be taken away. And not everything has to be about money. And Janelle, my partner in hair, we have the biggest hearts and just give back. Because everyone has the opportunity to give back. You just have to choose your moment and decide when you're going to do it.
That's beautiful. We thank you for doing that for our community. That's a wonderful thing to give back your talent. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Last year we did over 375 kids.
Wow.
So we're going to see what's happening this year, picking up a 3rd school district. And we have already been asked to pick up a 4th for next school year. So we're going to see what we can do.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming and talking to us today about the events coming up.
Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.
We will. And Carol, how do they get a hold of us at the Sheriff's Office?
So reach out. We have our webpage at cochise.az.gov/sheriff. Give us a call, 520-432-9500. And our social media is Cochise County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Mark J. Daniels. That'll link you to our Instagram and our X account.
First Watch on KWCD Country. It's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. And tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for First Watch right here on KWCD.